0.
Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge Podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. I've got a pretty cool show lined up for you. I was going to set up another interview, but really, I've been getting a lot of questions about some of the stuff that's going on in the world and my thoughts on them. So I thought, you know what? I'll schedule an interview next week. Let me go ahead and tackle these things right now before the story gets old. So we're going to get into some interesting stuff today. But first off, I want to go ahead and knock out some of that house cleaning to start off with. First off, our website, thebarbarianlounge.com. You can go there, check it out. We're currently trying to update the store right now. Let's just say my I don't want to get too much behind the scenes business here, but some of my store merchandise is kind of in limbo from the shipping standpoint, and I refuse to put it in the store till I get it in my hand. So become a follow us on the Barbarian Lounge Facebook page. You'll get updates on that when it becomes available. But you can go right now to thebarbarianlounge.com. You can go there and check out our donate button. I urge you to do that. There's a lot of different options you can follow there in order to support this broadcast. And yes, this broadcast needs your support. I don't like to go into a lot of the stuff that we go through here, but you know, there's some hands out there that are trying to dip into my candy dish, and we do not want that to happen. So you know, I'm not very good at making friends with the enemy. I know there's some people that are willing to bow down and kowtow to the enemy and try and negotiate with them and everything. My mentality is that the enemy should be crushed. So I'm not here to deal with them. My name is not Milton Bradley, and I do not play games. So, you know, we do need your support here. And the easiest way you can do that, well, I'll give you two options. The first option is obviously there's a PayPal one-time donation thing there that you can click and just, you know, whatever you want to donate. But the method that I urge you to follow is to click on our Patreon site. That is our members site. And what do you get when you become a member? Well, you get our 4 regular shows that we do monthly ahead of everybody else. That's a small perk. But you also get 4 additional shows that are members only. Needless to say, the people who have a little bit of skin in the game, they get some pretty interesting behind-the-scenes content. There's some things that I do not like to say over the open airwaves that I will freely say to the members in the members section. Plus, also, they're going to get some added perks. They're going to be coming up. I issued a question a while back whether or not people wanted some video content for the members on there. And, you know, I got thinking about it. I said, you know what? The members, they're the ones willing to put some actual effort into supporting this broadcast. And they're enabling me to do the things that I'm doing right now. And get the things that I need for this show. One of which is you may notice a slight difference in the audio. For me, I can absolutely tell a difference in the audio. I can tell a difference in the quality of sound, and that is because through the support of the patrons, I was able to get a small little sound booth here. So that is just one of the benefits. The money I make is going back into this show. So go there. I mean, you get the added benefit of additional shows, plus there's going to be some video content, and it's not going to be this video content that's just going to have me talking all the time or talking about the shows I've already done. This video content is actually going to be instructional in nature. I'll just leave it at that. So it's going to be in your best interest, and it's not going to charge you any extra. My pledge to my patrons is if you do $1 per episode, you end up paying a total of $8 per month. Now, obviously, you can do more. Some people do $2, $3, $5. So, there's a lot of options, but the $1 is the minimum charge. And with all that additional video content, guess what? It's not going to cost you anything extra. That content will be free to all of my patrons. So, you know, if I do one video, or if I do 10 videos, or if I do an extra show, I will never charge you more than 8 episodes worth. So, if your pledge is $1 per episode, guess what? $8 a month, that's the maximum you're going to get charged ever. That is my pledge to you. And those episodes, we're up to 21, 22 episodes right now. Right now we're going over the Warrior Ethos. It's going to be a multi-part series, so a lot of people are really enjoying that. So go there. Go to patreon.com/thebarbarianlounge or click on the link under our donate and join the Barbarian Army. Also, I urge you to check out a few of our other things. We've got, you can find the Barbarian Lounge on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher. Obviously, you can find the Barbarian Lounge podcast on Facebook. Our host site is, thebarbarianlounge.podbean.com. You can go there, give a subscription, keep up to date on the episodes there. Also, I urge you to check out UCY.tv Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can check out our show there. They air our show there, and there's a live chat that goes on. You can talk to the people who are listening to the show currently. Sponsors! OdinsonArchery.com, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. Get all of your archery gear from OdinsonArchery.com. It helps support this show, and you don't have to break the bank to become a member of the Brotherhood of the Bow. A lot of people want to get into archery and they think they have to spend a ton of money. Odinson Archery is providing quality gear, affordable gear that you can use for your prepping, bug out, whatever it may be. If you're just into target shooting, LARPing, whatever it may be, Odinson Archery's got you covered. Going to be some new stuff popping there pretty soon, including the debuting Odinson Archery War Bow. That's right, the War Bow is coming to Odinson Archery. There's been some videos of me shooting it, 100-pound draw War Bow. So check that out. Also, other sponsor, Mitacon, MitaconUSA.com. Check them out. I'm not going to read the little description thing here because I've already talked way too much in this little intro, and I am chomping at the bit to get into this content. So check them out, MitaconUSA.com. I've always got my trusty bottle right here with me. Got it loaded up in my glass. There it is. Yes, got it loaded up in my glass, and I am ready to go. It helps keep me focused, helps keep me primed. I've started powerlifting again, and I need it for that recovery, guys. I'm telling you. I need it for that recovery because the pace I've been keeping has been rapid. I've been full of energy and I've been ready and riled up. So MitaconUSA.com is not an energy drink. Mitacon helps you on a cellular level, helps you stay focused. God knows I need that shit. So check them out, MitaconUSA.com. My boy Ben will hook you up. Alrighty, let's get into the fight here. Let me take a sip. Alrighty. So, today we're going to be talking about the topic of wars and rumors of wars. That's on the tip of everybody's tongue right now. Everybody's kind of got this weird, eerie feeling going on, right? I mean, it's like, wait a minute now, you know, Trump got in office and we've got some stuff going on in Syria and there's stuff going on in North Korea and all these things like that. What the hell's going on? Everybody's thinking World War III right now. Matter of fact, that was the most Googled topic this week. It was trending at number 1. The topic of the search term World War III. So a lot of people are thinking about it. I noticed today, I went to the local Academy store. Sometimes when I'm around town, I just drop in there. I don't usually hardly buy anything from there. I'm not a huge a fan of Academy. They did some weird anti-gun shit that I wasn't really happy about. But I stopped by Academy, just walking around, checking out the ammo, seeing what they got, and I noticed that there's no sale going on or anything, and the 223 5.56 ammo was cleaned out. I don't know if it's that way where you're at, but here in the wonderful southern state of South Carolina, in my local area, it was cleaned out. Very strange. I mean, all of it was gone. Well, I say all of it. There was still some steel case 223 left. Some of the Tula ammo, the steel case stuff. People were at least smart enough not to buy that shit. Don't buy steel-cased ammo for your 223. Oh, I shoot it all the time and it works great. Yeah, okay, whatever. If you shoot enough of it, and you get that gun good and hot, guess what? It's gonna get stuck. You're gonna have to use a ramrod to get it out of there. So stick with brass in your ARs. Or some of you guys are hearing that, oh, that's why you get an AK. Okay, alright, calm down, gentlemen, calm down. We don't want to have a AR versus AK fight in here, okay? We don't want to have that, and next thing you know, all the Glock and 1911 guys will start fighting. We don't want that shit around here, so want to keep it somewhat civil around here, as much as we can keep it that way. But a lot of people are kind of interested in this. So we're going to break down a few of these little things and my thoughts on them, because everybody's been messaging me and asking me, so hey, here's a show. I can just say, hey, listen to this show. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on. First off, the whole issue in Syria. Now, I have a friend of mine, a few of you may know him. I'm not going to give his name out, but a few of you UCY people may know him. As soon as I say that, everybody's like, oh, know who that is. But I have a friend who has recently done some travels to Syria, and he's got pretty good contacts over there with some of the people that are over there. He talks to some of those people. I think he's actually got some friends over there. And, you know, when he heard of the issue that happened in Syria, he was fucking livid. And you know, from his standpoint, rightfully so. Me, it's a little, I wouldn't call myself upset about the situation, but I would call myself, a little befuddled over it, for a couple reasons. The first thing that really popped up in a lot of people's heads was the whole idea of whether or not it was legal. And, you know, Rand Paul mentioned something about it. Rand Paul said, you know, look, if you're going to start, you know, bombing places and you're going to start launching 59 Tomahawks and attacking a base, another country's base, you're going to need to you're going to need to go to Congress to get something declared there, to declare that act of war. And like, oh, it wasn't an act of war. Bullshit. Let me tell you something. If we're sitting here right now, if wherever you're sitting, if China decides to launch 59 missiles and starts hitting Los Angeles, not only would it be a blessing, sorry, my friends in Los Angeles, you guys have got to get out of there. But even though it would be a blessing, you know, it would still be, we would consider that an act of war. Okay? So, yes, it absolutely does fit the bill for an act of war when you start launching missiles into a sovereign nation. So that's a problem. One of the biggest issues was, you know, the issue that Russia is embedded quite deeply in Syria. They have a lot of interest there in Syria, as well as Iran. China does to an extent, but mostly it's an issue with Russia. You know, I'm not a fan of the United States taking the role of world police. I'm not interested in that. That's not my thing. A lot of people, you know, they were like, oh, you know, Trump went back on his word and said he was not going to go into Syria and everything like that, and he was going to leave it alone. And I do get that. That honestly, I said initially, I think I posted it a couple times on the Facebook page, but I said that the reason we voted Donald Trump in was to stay out of Syria. If we wanted to go to Syria, if we wanted to blow shit up and start World War III, we would have voted Hillary in. That's the fastest route to the bottom, right? You know, that would have, Hillary Clinton becoming president would have been a prepper's dream, because that would have been the fast track to oblivion. And there's some people that voted for it just for that reason. Nihilist sons of bitches, I tell you. But, you know, the whole issue with the attack in general, there's a lot of people, I know Ron Paul said this, as well as, I believe Vladimir Putin even kind of, nudged this way, as well as Assad, which it would be expected. If Assad actually even did it, it would be kind of expected for him to go, we didn't do it. I mean, it was the other guys, right? That's to be expected. But, you know, you to launch an attack before there's even an investigation done, that's a big problem. I have a problem with that. And it's not, and you're probably going to think, well, you know, my whole issue with that is because he should have stayed out of Syria. And yes, that is to an extent, but my biggest issue with this is not really what happened, but because of why it happened. Why did Donald Trump decide to launch 59 Tomahawks at a base in Syria? Well, common knowledge is, it was a chemical weapons attack. He was destroying chemical weapons that were there. Okay, that may be the case. It may not. I'm not there. I'm not in intelligence. I don't know. I'm going by what I see. First thought that comes to my mind is there's towns very close to that. So if you're launching 59 Tomahawks to destroy a base that is housing chemical weapons, where's that massive cloud of death going to go? Is it just evaporate in the fire? I don't know. Maybe it does. But it seems like quite a bit of danger for the surrounding towns in that area. There's also the danger of possibly killing some of Putin's guys. And that's a big problem. All the logistics behind what happened is not really of that much important to me in the big picture. And I'll explain my reasoning for that in a minute. But the fact that this was done without there even being an investigation. I mean, it happened on like a Tuesday, and the attack was on like a Thursday. I mean, they haven't even piled all the bodies up yet, man. But my biggest problem with the whole issue with Syria was in the president's speech itself. It started off first, going a little bit behind that a little bit. It started off first with our wonderful former governor, Nikki Haley. As a South Carolinian, I am not a fan of Nikki Haley. She betrayed this state. She betrayed our people. She betrayed the heritage. She betrayed my ancestors along with a bunch of other ancestors of other brethren and Southerners of mine. She's a betrayer to the Southern people. She's not a true Southerner. I mean, it is what it is. I don't want to get into that whole can of worms. But Nikki Haley started off with this whole game of holding up pictures of dead babies. And for me, when I see that, it flashes right back to when the dead baby was washed up on the beach. Okay? And everybody saw that and they're like, oh my God, that's terrible. Something's got to be done. And it's kind of one of those issues where, look, from the mainstream media machine, we know why you did that. That was done to elicit an emotional response to get people to be down with your cause. That's the whole reason. Do you think at the end of the day that that most of the people in the mainstream media give a shit about that baby lying on the beach? Without using Google right now, what was his name? Do any of you know? I don't know him. You don't know him. It's a dead kid. It's horrible. It's terrible. But at the end of the day, I mean, you hold that kid's life over the, other kids that are starving here in the United States. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, I'm sorry, and this is probably going to not make any friends, but I don't know any Syrians. My friend, he knows some Syrians. He's got more of a right to be upset than I am. But I don't know any Syrians. Not in the least bit. I don't know a single Syrian. I don't want any of their refugees. I don't care about their problems. I care about the problems in this nation. When President Trump ran on the platform of America First, and then one of the first things I see him doing is fighting for other nations, there's a problem there. Because that starts screaming neocon. And when I listened to his speech, what was he saying? Did he come to me? Did he come to the American people and did he say, listen, the Assad's got chemical weapons and he plans to use them in an attack on American bases near and around that area? Or he has used these on the bases around there. Assad is giving weapons to the enemy, that plan to use them on American soil or whatever it may be. But that's not what he said. He did not give us any logistical information regarding the importance to America as to why this attack was happening. No, what he said was he came on the air and he said, oh my God, did you see all the dead babies? Did you see no child deserves to die that way. It's just horrible. It's our moral obligation to do this. And we acted the way we should, yada, yada, all these things like that. And it was all just emotion. He was asking me to feel. On a leader, that is not a good suit to wear. I do not like a leader that comes to me telling me, asking me to make decisions and support him on how I feel. I need to know, anyone that's going to support you, we need to know why. We need to know the logistics of the operation, not on how we feel. Some people, there's probably people listening to this now and they're like, oh, what about the dead babies? You're heartless, whatever. Or, oh, Assad's a dictator. Or, oh, Trump shouldn't have done that. Or, yeah, Trump, go, turn the whole place into glass. There's all of those different aspects, and I don't care about those. That is not what I'm interested in. What I saw here was an analysis of our leader. The leader of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, whether you like him or hate him, whatever it may be, I saw an analysis of him that I did not care for. I saw a leader asking me to be emotional and make a decision. That is not what a leader does. And that's what a lot of leaders in the past have done. That's one of the weapons that the left likes to use a lot. Whenever they push gun control, what about the children? They show you all the faces of the children trying to elicit an emotional response to get you to do something irrational, such as, here, I don't want anyone else to die. Let me give you all my guns because my guns are going to plot against you and go out and kill people in the middle of the night. And all the criminals will turn their guns in once I turn my guns in. They're trying to get you to do something irrational. That is not a good hat for a leader to wear. And when I listened to President Trump's speech, that was what was going on. And the equally alarming thing to me was the supporters of Trump. And let me just throw this out. If you've been listening to the show any, you know I am a supporter of Trump. But many of the people were not willing to look at this thing and go, wait a minute, that's kind of fucked up. Why did he do that? It's supposed to be Americans first, but this is not about America. This is about dead babies in a foreign land whom I don't know or have no connection with whatsoever. So, when a leader starts asking you to do irrational things, that tells me that to me that is a poor leadership quality. It just is. And I think Trump has done a massive amount more good than he has bad. This is one of the first things I saw that made me go, And obviously, if you've listened to some of my members-only shows, I talked a while back about if I were going to make Trump do something stupid, what type of profile does he have? What sort of profile does Donald Trump have, and how would I use that to my advantage to make him do shit that's stupid? And one of them, no joke, word for word, you can ask my members, one of them was show him pictures of dead children and make him react emotionally to them because he is known for having compassion towards children. That's the exact thing I said. So it's not very hard to figure out. And I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. I tend to think I know a thing or two, but I'm no trained psychologist or any of those psyop type guys. I'm not one of those guys. So they're a lot better at this than I am. If I was able to figure that out, I'm sure they were too. They know the guy's aggressive. They're going to use that against him. And they absolutely did. I did not like seeing a leader using the whole emotion card. It's an effective weapon. Don't get me wrong. So I can say, well, okay, that's why he did it, because it's effective. Yeah, but we didn't vote the guy in power to be doing the exact same stuff that everyone else did. That's a problem for me. Now, the people who were the staunch supporters that were just like, yeah, blow everybody up. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I don't give a shit for the most part about what's going on in Syria. Like I said, I would consider myself a tribalist for the most part, and I don't. I'm more concerned about things at home, things closer to me. For the people that do have friends in Syria, I don't fault you in the least bit, and I'm not saying that your cause is any less valid. You do have connection. I do not. If I ever have connection, well, my stance would probably change. But the whole issue that I saw there was this whole idea with the Trump supporters. These guys were just like, yeah, turn the place to glass. It's like, yeah, I don't care, but that's also a stupid move. And people are like, oh, it's 4D chess, and he's moving chess pieces around. I'm like, look here, maybe you can pull that cliche bullshit with other people, but chess implies a game played with two people, right? You play chess with two people. And this game is not chess. If anything, this is Risk. Chess, the game of global domination, right? Chess implies there's two people playing. So the moves that one person makes only affects the other side, the other player. When you're talking the world, moves like that, you're talking influencing, that could cause issues with Russia, cause issues with China, could cause issues with Iran. There's no telling how it could play out. One bad little bit of intel could cause a massive screw up. And I don't want to see our nation drug into something that is not considered or would not be considered a righteous move. And we wanted Trump because we wanted Americans to be taken care of first, not Syrians. That's my stance on the Syria situation. So North Korea, let me take a sip before I get into this shit. So North Korea, one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't really think about, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, talking about North Korea, and I told them, I said, that the Korean War is still going on, right? And they're like, what? I said, well, technically the war is still going on. We're basically under a massive ceasefire. And it's pretty interesting. A lot of people don't really think about that. It's basically just like a ceasefire that's going on between the two. That's why you got that whole demilitarized zone and all this shit like that. But right now, and by the time you hear this, something different may happen. But we saw, North Korea is kind of indicative of their leader, the little fat kid that nobody really likes, and people just kind of tolerate him because he's kind of just there. He's not really bothering anybody. He talks a lot of game, but he never really does anything. He's the fat kid sitting on the corner talking about UFC, right? He's like, yeah, I go and I've trained UFC before. You run those guys, right? I train UFC. What? You train UFC? Or the little Call of Duty kids, right? They think they play Call of Duty, so they're tactically efficient now. But when I look at North Korea, I pretty much see kind of a joke for the most part. And I would hope that the world does for the most part too. Maybe South Korea is probably a little nervous about it, but North Korea is always talking about, we've got nukes and we could wipe the United States off the map and blah, 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 all this shit like that. And everything they shoot is basically it's basically a bottle rocket shot into the ocean that goes, That's about it. We haven't seen them do anything. Yes, they've done some nuclear tests and everything like that, and all that. But the thing is, you can have nukes. But what's your delivery system, right? I mean, that's like basically saying I've got a 50 caliber sniper rifle that can blast somebody a mile away, and it's like, oh, really? Or let me rephrase that. Yeah, you got a sniper rifle. Okay, well, or let's say, let me rephrase that. I will go back and rephrase that. Let's say you've got a 50 caliber, 50 caliber BMG round. You've got the bullets, right? And I say, that's awesome, man. It's just a mile away. Yep. That's awesome, dude. What kind of rifle you got? Oh, I don't have the rifle yet. I just got the bullets. It's like, well, so you've got a badass bullet with no delivery system. Doesn't do anybody any good. And that's basically what North Korea's got right now. And so we're seeing, and it kind of happened randomly for the most part. I mean, they sit over there and they beat their chest and all this shit like that when they're not, oppressing their citizens too terribly much. When they get a little free time, and a little bit of, once they get the power actually to cut on there, right? Then most of the time they have roving blackouts. Once they get the power up, they'll upload a video of them, some shitty graphic of them blowing up a White House or something like that. I think they basically just copy Independence Day, right? They copy that scene and just put it on there and say, "Ha, that is us," right? We have spaceships now in Pyongyang. But either way, that they've been thumping their chests and everything, and Trump has sent an armada over there, right? He's got massive amount of ships, submarines, all these things. I've heard that Australia has been put on alert. I don't know if this is 100% true, so please don't flame me too bad if I'm wrong. But I saw an article where Australia was put on alert for a possible strike against them in retaliation for anything that they do, because they were planning on setting up some sort of like base there around Australia. I don't remember the exact extent of it. That just kind of popped into my head. But we recently, as at the time of recording this, the capital, Pyongyang, has been evacuated. They removed all of the media personnel. A lot of people have been moved out, and they were told to move out because there was going to be a big event on April 15th, which April 15th holds significance to North Korea. It's their their Day of the Sun or something like that. It's some kind of celebration of like the first leader of North Korea or something like that. But if you listen, I didn't even know that when I initially said it. But if you are on the members site, patreon.com/the Barbarian Lounge, link in the show notes. If you are a member, you remember that I said a while back to pay attention to April 15th, that it was going to be an important day from some intel sources I had at the time. It's the same as I told people to watch out for the Ides of March, not just because it's the Ides of March, but I was told that something was going to happen, and surprise, surprise, interest rates went up on that day. So I'm still telling people to keep an eye out on April 15th, because there's a lot of word that things are going to happen that way, on that day. Now, what's going to happen? Who knows? Nobody knows. Oh, is Trump going to nuke them? They're going to nuke Trump. I mean, there's a lot of things being moved around right now. I've heard that North Korea is going to do a nuclear test, and Kim Jong-il, or I get those fuckers mixed up. I think it's Kim Jong-il. No, Kim Jong-il's the one that died. I can't even remember his name. Fat Boy Kim. We'll call him Fat Boy Kim. Fat Boy Kim is saying that if they do anything, we're going to nuke. And Japan is saying that that Fat Boy Kim has got sarin-tipped missiles right now, and China has moved troops to the border there, possibly waiting on a refugee crisis that may occur. There's all kind of things happening. Again, we kind of go back to, okay, if some shit happens in North Korea, what is my thoughts going to be? I don't know any North Koreans. And, it'll probably, honestly, be, even if they wipe them out, that'll probably be a better place right now. What's going to rise up in its place? Honestly, what's going to happen is China's probably going to step up and take that land. That's my guess. But, for the most part, is North Korea a threat? Is North Korea really a threat to the United States? No, because here's the thing. if Fatboy Kim decides to shoot a nuke over here, maybe he's got some secret delivery system we don't know about, and it does happen to hit something, that's basically going to be the first punch, and then there's going to be a plethora of chain punches to follow from the United States, and they're going to wipe North Korea off the map. He has to know this. And at first I would say that China, the big threat is, okay, you mess with North Korea, well, China's going to step in, but China's like, no, China's done had enough of it. And I think this is something that was, the timing of this is pretty interesting, because at the time of the attack on Syria was the same time that the Chinese president was here meeting with Donald Trump. And I would be willing to bet. See, Trump changed his stance a lot after he met with the president of China. The guy's a deal maker. If he's good at anything, it's making deals. So I would not be willing to bet that they said, he probably told the president, he said, look, we're going to go we'll do you a favor. Okay? We'll pull back our public image about you manipulating currency and all these things like that. And you just kind of look the other way, and we remove Fatboy Kim from North Korea. We just remove him. Be taken out. He's gone. No more nuke tests. We'll wrangle that shit in. You won't have any problems with that anymore. And in return, it'll open up the trade in the area, and you can take that land there. Because they were working on trade deals. And removing North Korea from that area would absolutely open up trade 100%. You wouldn't have a whole lot of threats coming from them. Not that they're much of a threat anyway. But my guess is you're going to see China expand and quote-unquote help North Korea after they get fucked up by the U.S., if the U.S. does it. As it's looking, I would say it probably is going to happen. So there are some trade deals in the work. I think this whole issue, because the timing of it was really impeccable. Like, nobody was even paying any attention to North Korea. Then, he meets with the Chinese president. Then next week he's like, send an armada to North Korea. And it's like, that's kind of weird. So I think that's probably has a lot to do with it. What are my thoughts on, am I against the whole thing? I don't want us to head into World War III by any means. Russia doesn't really give a shit about North Korea. China is showing that they don't really give a shit about North Korea. So I'm not 100% sure that attacking North Korea is going to be an issue. Now, I did see, I don't have it in front of me right here, but I did see something about some sort of sanctions being rejected by China and Russia. I think China did not vote. That might have been on the Syria issue. But either way, I don't really see a lot of people willing to stand up for North Korea. They're not very good at making friends. They don't really offer anything to the other empires. If you listen to, again, here I go again, not plugging the members site or anything, but I talked about the idea of staying low profile against the empire. And North Korea doesn't really have anything to offer the empire. They're a chunk of land that's controlled by a fat kid. Fucking Chunk from the Goonies is in control of a country, and all he's doing is he's throwing rocks around, and he's starting to piss people off. And if you're China, you're thinking to yourself, you know what? Let's just let him take this guy out. We'll take the land, and guess what? The Chinese empire expands. And in the meantime, that's going to put some issues, some stress on the whole South China Sea thing. But that's a whole different can of worms. Again, though, you can look at it two different ways. Let me take a sip here before I start hacking. MitoconUSA.com. Little shameless plug there. But, if you look at that whole issue, you say to yourself, well, what is there to gain for Americans here? I mean, I can see the whole trade deal thing, But again, my thoughts are just kind of, as long as we're not getting into World War III, I don't really give two shits about Fat Boy Kim, Chunk from the Goonies. I don't really care. But again, like I said, we're not operating on a small chessboard here. Moves that could be made on one side could cause things to tip one way or another. It's a very delicate balance we've got going here. If Trump gets carried away, he's an aggressive man. If he gets carried away and starts getting a little nuke happy, you could see some of that issue fallout carry over into China, and they're not going to be happy about that. And that could cause problems. Who knows? That could be what North Korea's banking on. It's quite possible. Again, though, I kind of look at this whole thing and I start looking at this whole Americans First thing. I mean, we've got all this shit going on here, and the whole healthcare fiasco that caved in, and all these things like that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, for me, I'm not seeing these trade deals being that big a deal for Americans right now. And I mean, could be wrong. I'm not a trader. I'm not a guy that gets into all this stuff like that. But right now, I see North Korea, as long as China does not feel like backing North Korea's insanity, I don't see us marching towards World War III in that aspect. If they wipe out Fat Boy Kim, is what it is, right? I don't think you're going to see ISIS roll into that area. I think you're going to see China move in, restore order very quickly, and they just become a province of the Republic of China. So we also had the Afghanistan, the Moab, right? The quote unquote mother of all bombs. A lot of people think that's what Moab stands for. It actually stands for a massive ordnance air blast. So, but I like mother of all bombs better. So the target, it's the largest. If you don't know, I'm sure you've probably heard this all day. It's the largest non-nuke bomb. It's never actually been used. It was developed for the Iraq War, never actually used until today. But it's equivalent to 11 tons of TNT. So that thing hits like a fucking brick. Okay. It's actually intended for soft to medium targets. It does an air burst, as it says, massive ordnance air blast. But it actually is intended more for soft targets, basically to hit those caves. And that's exactly what they told us. The reason they used it was for caves, ISIS caves and whatnot. And I hear about it and it's like, what in the world's going on? But then, it's like, okay, did this need to be done? Well, do you consider ISIS an enemy of the United States? Absolutely. Could it affect their command system? Absolutely. Any civilians killed? I don't know any Afghans, but no, not that I know of. Did it eliminate any targets? Who knows? It's a pretty big blast. To targeted area? Yeah, it probably got some of them. Probably caved in some of their systems, going to set them back a little while. So I would say, for the most part, that is an attack for Americans. And they're like, but it costs so much money. What if they use that money for this and that and everything? Well, that's under the assumption that you expect government money to be spent wisely. If they're spending money to destroy an enemy who has proven itself to be nothing but a thorn in the side for Western civilization since damn near their beginning, I don't consider that a waste of money. For the most part, I consider that righteous justice. And no, I'm not one of these, let's turn the whole place into glass type of people. I'm not one of those guys. But I understand a fucking threat when I see it. And they're absolutely a threat. And naturally, people are like, I heard people saying, now that they've done this and we've intentionally pushed at them, they're going to retaliate. I don't know if you've been keeping track of the news, but ISIS does not need any sort of incentive to actually attack. They're not driving trucks through people. They're strapping bombs to themselves and blowing shit up. Walking into clubs with weapons and shooting people, stabbing people. So no, let me tell you something. Whether you attack them or not, they're going to keep attacking. That's the nature of the beast itself. So why not put a little hurt on them right now when you got the chance? Retaliation? We're at war right now. We've been at war for a while. And the enemy has proven that they're relentless. And I can tell you right now, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all these groups, they're not going to stop. As long as there's a single one of them living, they're not going to stop. They're just not. Oh, well, you know, the U.S. government, John McCain, you know, funds them and everything. You know, okay. All right. Proof or no proof, doesn't matter. They're still the enemy. If there's nobody left, if there's none of them alive, there's nobody left to fund and arm, right? Oh, you sound like a violent man. Yes, I am. Especially when there's an enemy at the gates. And they've proven themselves to be an enemy of this nation. They've proven themselves to be an enemy of Western civilization. And they must be destroyed. So, hey, put them underground. As far as I'm concerned, bury them there. So, no, I'm not against this. Not in the least bit. But there are some, I mean, as I've said, there's some grand chessboard moves being played right now. I think it's wise to, I use that grand chessboard. The grand chessboard is actually, something from, a guy, Zbigniew Brzezinski, talked about the grand chessboard, and that's basically the idea of basically it's not really even a chessboard, it's more like a Risk, for the most part. Unless you say the good guys versus the bad guys kind of shit, but, you know, that's all. I don't really buy that. But, you know, everybody's asking, you know, Odinson, are we heading to World War III? You know, or are we going to World War III right now? And yeah, it is the most Googled term and everything like that. I just saw, I posted it on my personal page. I was going to post it on the Barbarian Lounge. I'll probably post it, a little bit later. So if you're not following the Barbarian Lounge on Facebook, I urge you to do so. But, you know, they put up a thing earlier about the elites, underground bunkers, right? You used not to ever hear about that stuff. And, you know, how is the top 1% going to survive in the event of nuclear holocaust? And they show all these ridiculous bunkers that these guys have. And of course, I've known they've had them forever. I mean, anybody probably listening to this show knows Elite has had these bunkers and everything. And it's always funny that they kind of make fun of preppers, and they're like, oh, you know, you guys paranoid about everything, but yet they've got these big bunkers and blast shields and everything hidden underground with, you know, 5 years worth of food and all this stuff like that. And it's like, now I'm the paranoid one, but you guys put a lot more money into this than I did. Not to say that I wouldn't if I didn't have the chance, right? But you know, I see this and I say, you know, okay, if there's World War III and the elite have all these bunkers, what does that tell me? What does that tell me? That tells me that they're not going to take any part in this whatsoever. That tells me that they are not going to be a part of this at all. I mean, they may have their command centers and all this stuff like that. And hey, what can a guy do about that? But for the most part, that tells me that they are going to lay low in the event of really bad things happening. That also tells me that is the time where I talk about tribalism so much. That is the time that the tribes rise. That's where we start planting our black flags on the ashes of this ruined empire as it crumbles. And I think that's why organically you're starting to see the rise of tribes around. I really do. But that does, when I see those things, it's funny to me that people are like, oh, World War III, are you kidding me? And the leak's like, well, we're building bunkers, but, you know, those are just going to be vacation homes with 5 years worth of food that's underground and can survive a nuclear blast and, you know, EMP strike, blah, blah, blah. And so it's always funny to me. You know, that's why I tell people, I'm like, hey, you need to keep an eye out on your local elite, right? If you know these guys, if George Herbert Walker Bush lives close to you, or Hillary Clinton lives close to you, when the shit hits the fan, you need to follow them wherever they're going. hit that place quick, right? You know, or no, excuse me. Ask them if you can stay, because we wouldn't want anything horrible to happen to those wonderful national treasures. But you know, I mean, obviously, there's certain things that can happen. You know, when people get in the whole false flag thing, I think they false flag things too much till we become numb about it. But obviously there's dangers of false flags and things like that. You could have an EMP, the backpack nukes and all these things like that. And my thing with that is, people, what happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? You should be prepared for these things. You should understand them. Do you have a plan? You should. Do you have bug out contingencies? Do you have places to go? Do you know how to respond to nuclear fallout? Do you have potassium iodide? Do you have plenty of water? If you had to stay in your house and have everything sealed up and couldn't go outside, are you ready for that? What if you have no food? What if somebody's injured? What if you have to defend yourself? There's all kind of things that could be mapped out. You should have a plan for these things. And we could see the world morph into a completely different thing in a World War III type scenario. It's really going to depend on the players. You could kind of war game it all day long, but at the end of the day, the two big boys on the block are going to be, China and the United States. Those are the ones that are probably going to be the biggest boys on the block. They're going to have issues, and that'd be a problem for anybody at the time. There's a lot of dangers for the American empire that are, I talked about. I don't know if this was a member show or not. It might have been. It might have been a few shows ago where I've done some talks about the American empire and some of the issues I'm seeing with the decline of empire. I know me and Hannibal Cain talked about this. Me and Steve McNallen on our 50th episode, we talked about it a little bit as well. Multi-front wars that we're seeing the American empire take part in right now. Syria, North Korea, Afghanistan. Then you're fighting the war on the border. That's way too many fronts and way too far stretched out. You don't have to look too far in history to find other empires that fell for that trap and fell shortly after. You got troops. I mean, you think about it. You got troops overseas. Let's say there's an attack in the USA, an EMP, backpack nuke, whatever it may be. Who's going to be here to pick up the pieces, right? I mean, troops spread out all over the place, fighting multi-front wars. Who's going to be here to pick up the pieces when all that happens? It's going to be you? It's going to be me? Probably. Good people, bad people? Depends on what side of the fence you're on. The southern border. I've talked about, while I am someone who absolutely supports a wall, let me tell you something. One of the other historical signs of the fall of empire is the building of walls. When the empire decides it no longer wants to expand and control more areas, you start seeing them erect walls. You saw it with Rome, the Ottomans, the Persian Empire. It's all throughout history. You see these walls going up. It's not a bad thing. It's a sign. And yes, I absolutely support the wall. I do. I do. I can't deny that I support it, but I understand also the ramifications of what I see. If you look at the leadership in Congress right now, divided. I mean, they're fighting over these petty things. Looks very similar to what was happening in Rome right before it fell. But at the end of the day, I mean, you think about all this stuff that's going on, and it's kind of the general response I've been giving people who've been asking me. What do you think about World War III, Odinson? What's going to happen if North Korea attacks? What if we attack North Korea? What if China attacks? What if this happens? What if that happens? I look at them and I say, does it matter? And they're like, well, yeah, it matters. No. I'm not talking about on the grand scale. I'm talking about whether it happens or it doesn't happen. Why should it matter to you if you've got your shit together? You see, you have no control over whether World War III breaks out. You can write your congressman. You can grab your little signs and picket. You can do all these little things you want to, but the system does as the system does. I've been in this game for a long time, and the system is going to do what the system is going to do. There's only a few things that you have control over, and that is your response to it. How are you going to handle it if it happens? If China decides they want to attack the U.S., are you ready for it? Well, nobody can ever be ready. Well, okay, your defeatist attitude, well, I know who dies in the first wave. Oh, what if they just nuke us and everything gets destroyed and you die from the first blast? Then I die in the first blast, but I die prepared if I survive the first blast. I'm prepared to start the world after it's over with. I'm prepared to be the warlord of my area. The only response you have should be, what am I going to do? What is my people going to do? What is my tribe going to do? People say, well, you're not thinking about everybody. You're not thinking about the nation. I don't know everybody in the nation. But I know that if everybody in the nation took the same mentality I did, then the nation would be covered, right? If everybody took care of their little plot that they have. I call it the superhero mentality. That's kind of the dumbed down version of superhero mentality. Hey, Batman, he'll go out sometimes, but for the most part, Batman sticks to Gotham City, right? Make sure Gotham's okay. Superman takes care of Metropolis, okay? Green Arrow, where's he at? Star City. I don't remember what the fuck Flash does. I'm not that out there. But you get my drift. Everybody basically sticks to their area and makes sure that their city is taken care of. Same where you're at. If your community is taken care of, if everybody takes care of their community, wow, look at that. We have a nation that's starting to become a safer place. Possibly even more self-sufficient. Who knows? For people who are of a preparedness mindset that are actually looking to build something that's going to be lasting in the future, this should just be business as usual. You have to understand, if things fall apart, we're going to have to pick up the pieces. No, I'm not happy that the president is not putting Americans first and is worrying about dead babies in a foreign land while we got babies dying here. I'm not happy about that. But I can tell you another thing, too. I can't do shit about it. Can't do anything about it. Not a thing. I can complain. I can go on Facebook. I can call this person, call that person. I can write articles. I can do all these things. But at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. Because they're talking about shit that you and I don't have a clue about. Instead of wasting all of our time and energy pushing towards things that we cannot control, we need to move towards things that we can control. And that is our response to how it plays out. Nuclear war, EMP, economic collapse. If oblivion must come, let it come during my time. That's my mentality. You see, I'm not out to fucking fix the world. No one's gonna fix the world. I don't want to fix the world. If I do my thing and everybody does their thing, guess what? The world will get fixed. That's what they're not telling you. They're telling you to worry about this, worry about that, pay attention to this, pay attention to that. Every day the mainstream media is coming to you saying, let me inform you of the thing you need to be outraged about today. So you put all of your energy towards that and you're not building a damn thing. I'm interested in planting trees I'll never sit under. The future, whatever form it may come. So this is going to be, I'm going to do our last call here. Last call, you savage bastards. I don't think there's a whole lot to say. You know, like I said, there's not much you can do about what's going on in Syria, not much you can do about what's going on in North Korea. ISIS, not much you can do about that. There just ain't. So all of our energy is going towards that. It needs to be going towards things we can build, things we can do now, things we could do here at home. Because we're all looking at the president and we're saying, hey, you know, Americans first, America first, America first. You know, take care of Americans, do this, that. They're going to do what they're going to do. The Pentagon's going to do what they're going to do. Congress is going to do what they're going to do. The president's going to do what he's going to do. All these people are going to do their thing. It's time for you to start doing your thing. And I'm not saying build some wall around yourself and just shutting everything out and not paying attention. Everybody knows I've warned about building walls too high. If you build them too high, you can't see what's coming. What I'm telling you is that it's time for us to start taking the responsibility for our own lives and not depending on leaders to change this world for us. It is up to us to fix our communities, build up our tribes of people, and slowly but surely that will change the world around us. I hate to quote Gandhi because I'm not a huge Gandhi fan, but be the change that you want to see in the world. So that's going to wrap it up here, guys. Hope you enjoyed this show. I enjoyed delivering it to you. So now